So I'm going to be talking about and sharing about the Elaboration Likelihood Model. This is a theory that is describes change in attitude using two different routes of persuasion. Excuse me. Richard Petty and John Casipio. Probably not how you say his name, so I apologize. Anyway, they're the two psychologists who have come up with an idea of two different routes of persuasion. Petty and Casipio were colleagues at the university in Chicago in the late 1970s-ish time era. Petty is actually the one who labeled the two routes, which are under the Elaboration Likelihood Model. One is central route and one is peripheral route. These are cognitive processes that help understand how different people are persuaded. We can be persuaded by watching all kinds of stuff, TV advertisements, talking to our peers, as well as many other ways that we usually don't even realize. Anyway, so one of the routes is called central route, and that is just when you're being persuaded based on an actual message content. Central route is used all the time in getting people to buy a product that is advertised on TV. For example, I can remember being a teenager and breaking out. My face, I have a little bit of acne and just going through the hormones. I mean, it wasn't just me. All my friends, we were all going through the same thing. Anyway, and I just remember seeing proactive commercials on TV and just seeing the before and after shots of how well it worked, and just thought how amazing it was that something like that could actually work on teenagers. And so I finally convinced my mom into buying it for me. And so, of course, I believe the creators knew their strategy would work if they got teenagers on there, because teenagers usually are the ones who struggle most with acne. So it did work because I bought it and I used it, and many of my other friends, we used it too. But I also think this route is used a lot with colleges that are advertised. Students in high school spend a lot of time thinking about where they're going to go to college and kind of where they want their career to go. And it's almost like a race for colleges to see who can get to students sooner, especially when it comes to like athletics and stuff, and who plays better ball and whatnot. And they really advertise their best qualities like on TV and magazines and even in billboards. If you go into any big city, as it like Baylor or Austin, you're going to see billboards covered with University of Texas or University of Baylor. I mean, just everywhere, just advertising all the fun stuff the students do, like when they're on campus, football games, basketball games, and just different things like that. So many people base their decisions off of something that usually appeals to them, including having a winning football team. If you're in Texas, football is pretty much everything anyway, and so if you're going to a school that has a winning football team, you're winning too. So I feel like this is how many people are persuaded to attend a specific university. So that was central route. So now we're going to move on to peripheral route, and that, on the other hand, is when you're being persuaded based on something other than the actual message content. Peripheral route is the opposite of central route. Peripheral route are decisions that can be made based off some kind of cue, really in a quicker manner. There isn't much thinking involved when it comes to peripheral route. So, for example, when you see a commercial with your favorite actor on it, advertising like a product, like a car, you immediately reconsider how you ever felt about that particular brand, because knowing that you love the person that's in the commercial and the fact that they're persuading you to purchase a specific kind of product makes you really want to change your attitude towards it, regardless if you were even paying attention to the advertisement and what it was selling in the first place. I feel like this is used in almost every marketing service out there. If I was wanting to persuade someone using the peripheral route, I think that I would find a way to get the message across that is pretty unforgettable, something that's going to stick with people, and they're going to think about it outside of the advertisement. So, for example, we've all seen the poor ASPCA commercials with the poor little sad animals who've been beaten, um, dirty, abused, matted up. They just make them look so sad. And while these images are going across the screen, that slow, miserable song plays, and it just almost brings you to tears, especially if you have a soft heart. And so, who really wouldn't feel sorry for these animals? I mean, I'm an animal lover, so if I see a dog limping on the side of the road, I automatically feel sorry for them. So, the commercial just made it 10 times worse. And it makes you want to pick up and call and make that donation. So, obviously, the advertisement is working. However, just like with every other theory, there are so many people out there who do not agree with this elaboration likelihood model. For example, there's a communication researcher, Paul Montague, I believe is how you pronounce his name, and consultant James Stiff. They argue that the model was not tested precisely. Their claim is that the testing process of the ELM wasn't clearly tested. They also say that it seems to think that their arguments are only strong if the people are persuaded, and weak and if the people are unchanged. So, with all that said, I do believe that in the future, there is always going to be one or two kinds of persuasions in a communication, no matter what. I feel it's very important to understand these two ways. Before I studied up and read on this, I really didn't take into consideration the two ways to approach a conversation and to internalize it. So, so some are more central based, while others are more peripheral based, of course. But actually knowing which mental route a person takes, I think, will help with the persuasion process.